Hello and welcome to EWTN Pro-Life Weekly, your weekly dose of the top pro-life news and issues, all from a Catholic perspective. I am your host, Catherine Hadro, in our Washington, D.C. studio. Thank you for joining us during this Easter octave. In this week's show, we introduce you to religious sisters cultivating a culture of life. Democratic presidential candidates weigh in on late-term abortion. We speak out. And this.
I wanted to make sure if I was going to have a part in it, I wanted to make sure it was a good movie, not just some movie with a great message that wasn't a good movie.
The MyPillow CEO Mike Lindell shares his role in the Unplanned movie and his own life-affirming story. But first, our top story, the Trump administration awards a chain of pro-life medical centers more than $5 million. The administration awarded the Obria Group a Title X grant for $5.1 million over 3 years to expand its services in California. Obria is a nonprofit affiliate network of medical clinics that provide comprehensive and life-affirming health care to low-income women and men. Services include pregnancy tests, ultrasounds, prenatal care, cancer screenings, and treatment for sexually transmitted diseases. This Title X grant might have otherwise gone to a Planned Parenthood affiliate, if not awarded to Obria. We recently spoke with the founder and CEO of the Obria Group to hear more about this major pro-life news. Here's our interview. Kathleen Eaton Bravo is founder and CEO of the Obria Group. She joins us now from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Kathleen, welcome back to the show.
Thanks, Catherine. It's good to be back.
First off, tell us about your group, Obria Group, and Obria's mission.
Well, as you know, Catherine, I started clinics. They were pregnancy resource centers. I took them into medical clinics, and many people said, you know, it's that biblical teaching, you can't hide your good works under a bushel basket, you have to shine it from a hill. And after 3 years of strategizing and developing the model, we launched Obria Group as a national affiliation model of giving other clinics around the country, pro-life clinics, an opportunity to come under a national brand.
And the HHS department recently rewarded your group, the Obria Group, over $5 million over the course of 3 years. Tell us, how were you awarded these funds?
Yes. Well, actually, I have to back you up a little bit, because about 6 months before that, HHS, under Title V, abstinence education, for the first time ever in California, awarded us $900,000, $450,000 a year for 2 years, and to launch what is called sexual risk avoidance education. It's an abstinence-based education program in the schools. And so just prior to getting to Title X, so part of Title X, fast forward 6 months, we submitted that grant, and it actually partners with our sexual risk avoidance education grant under Title V. So Title V sort of gave us the seed money to take sexual risk avoidance education up and down the state of California. We actually teach it nationally now. But in California, we took that money and grew this program. Our executive director is a master trained educator in sexual risk avoidance education. And so it fit perfectly into the new Title X parameters that were created under the Trump administration to give funding to pro-life faith-based organizations like Obria. But you had to be comprehensive medical care, electronic health, totally in the medical field model. And we qualified and we submitted the grant. And this grant actually supports the Title V grant. It's in a continuation of natural family planning, which I used all my life. I used the old Billings method, but natural family planning, fertility education, educating women about their fertility so that education, is empowering, and they learn to protect their fertility so they can have children in the future. And of course, sexual risk avoidance education, and we use FEM, fertility education medical management, and train our staff. So this was a perfect fit for us, all holistic. Really in line with, I find it interesting, the teachings of the Catholic Church for years and years and years. And now you have the federal government understanding and realizing that holistic care and this type of care is what this generation of young women want and are looking for.
And over $5 million, Kathleen, can you just put that into perspective for us? What kind of impact that can have and how you will put this money to use?
Huge impact. And I think the thing that we all need to celebrate, though it's actually with the Title V, we're looking at $6,100,000 of our tax money not going to Planned Parenthood and abortion. This really opened up a new avenue, and HHS has said to us, Kathleen, we chose you as a trailblazer to do this because we're trying to open up new avenues in Title X. In other words, for 45 years, it's gone to abortion providers, except for a short time under President Reagan, and went right back to the original of funding abortion and not funding holistic care, natural family planning, and that type. And today, thanks to this administration, he's moved it back. But what they're trying to do is just not have it during this administration, but build a new avenue to say this is working and open up those funds for continuing down the path for years to come. So we're going to use this money to continue to create a holistic, natural family planning model within our affiliates in California. And hopefully, with the next cycle, we can move it into the states where we have other Obrias or other pro-life groups have a medical model and they qualify. So I think this is much more even than us and the $5 million. I think this is a new day, a new path for our tax money to go in and to support pro-life. This is huge.
Can you clarify whether or not any of these Title X funds will go towards contraception?
Absolutely not. As I shared, this money funds holistic care, sexual risk avoidance, natural family planning, fertility education, abstinence education within the clinic model, and also teaching out into the school. So what I talked about, the Title V is actually taking these programs into the schools and teach it. The Title X is the medical services within the clinics, and it is holistic care. I would never have taken any money. I've never contracepted. I've been Catholic all my life, and I would never, no amount of money would ever buy, my heart, my faith, or the Obria ministry. We are a faith-based pro-life organization, and I am one of those hardcore believers that if you really study contraception, it is the floodgates to abortion. And we would never crack even a window to take any type of funding that was associated with having to dispense contraception. Never.
Kathleen, abortion advocates often paint pro-life clinics as fake clinics. And upon the news of your grant, Planned Parenthood tweeted out, "The Trump administration is stripping Title X funding from trusted health centers and instead providing funding to entities that do not provide evidence-based treatment." Kathleen, what is your reaction to that, the claim Obria does not provide evidence-based treatment?
Well, it's not true, and it's not factual, and we are evidence-based. In fact, everything we do, and as we grow our medical process and services and care is evidence-based. And this is what I have to say. We do more services than Planned Parenthood. We do pregnancy test, ultrasound, STI testing and treatment. We do HIV/AIDS testing. We do well woman care, pap smears, cancer screening. And we do prenatal care in some of our clinics, which we're moving towards in all of our clinics in each area, to do full prenatal care up to delivery.
Kathleen Eaton Bravo, founder and CEO of the Obria Group, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, Catherine.
And joining us now in studio for Pro-Life Analysis is Mallory Quigley, Vice President of Communications for the Susan B. Anthony List. Mallory, thanks for being here. Happy Easter.
Thank you, Catherine. Happy Easter to you.
Tell us more about this grant. How significant is this?
Well, it's very encouraging to see that an incredible entity like Obria, and the work that they're doing is wonderful, to see that they've qualified for these new grants. And certainly in the wake of organizations like Planned Parenthood saying that they are, that they're up in arms about these new Title X regulations, it's encouraging to see fresh organizations apply and to meet the criteria.
What does this grant signal about the administration's pro-life agenda?
Yeah, I think that it's one sign among many that we've seen. Certainly, we heard Mick Mulvaney at the National Catholic Prayer Breakfast this week talking about the president putting in even more pro-life lines to the State of the Union. And I think it's one of many indicators that the administration is continuing its drumbeat on strong pro-life action, and they're doing everything that they can. President Trump is doing everything that is in his power. Really picking up the baton where Congress has been sort of in this stalemate.
Mallory, abortion advocates often paint these pro-life pregnancy medical clinics as fake clinics. How do you respond to something like that?
Well, take a look at Planned Parenthood's own annual report. They say that they are a trusted healthcare provider for women and girls, but their own numbers show that this is just not the case. So they're the fake clinics.
Mallory, finally, as a pro-life leader yourself, can you speak to Obria and how really they are leading in the pro-life movement? They really are blazing a new trail.
Absolutely, yeah. I think that Kathleen Eaton Bravo and the Obria team are doing a great service to the pro-life movement by offering not just women, but their men in their lives and families these actual healthcare services that are medical services. They really are expanding on what we traditionally understood to be the role of pregnancy resource centers, and this is really incredible because it's really allowing the pro-life movement to compete with entities like Planned Parenthood. It's the giant of the abortion industry, and they get women in the door by attempting to sell them well woman services, which we know that they don't really do. So to have an entity like Obria, there's the consortium of pro-women healthcare centers that's growing and is identifying other facilities that are offering these services to women and families. It's really important.
Mallory Quigley, Vice President of Communications for the Susan B. Anthony List. Thank you, as always, for your pro-life analysis.
My pleasure.
House Minority Whip Steve Scalise recently filed a discharge petition for the Born Alive Abortion Survivors Protection Act. This is a tactic to bypass House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and to force a floor vote on the pro-life bill, because House Democrats have blocked it more than 30 times. But in order for the discharge petition to be successful, a simple majority, or 218 members of Congress, need to sign it. That brings us to this week's call to action. Go to ProLifeWeekly.com. Again, that is ProLifeWeekly.com. Here you can find out whether or not your representative has already signed the Born Alive discharge petition, and then send a message directly to your member urging a signature if there isn't one already. The Born Alive bill simply requires abortion survivors, infants who are born alive, receive appropriate medical care. This should be a bipartisan issue. In order to get 218 House member signatures on this discharge petition, 21 Democrats will need to join every Republican member. When you go to the website, ProLifeWeekly.com, you will be able to click a button and find out if your representative has signed the discharge petition. And based on that, we can craft a message to be for your specific U.S. representative. While Congress is on recess this week and your representative is at home, send a message to your lawmaker to sign the Born Alive discharge petition. Go to ProLifeWeekly.com. Turning now to our next segment, we speak with a pro-life powerhouse who comes to us not from Capitol Hill, but a convent.
Jesus loves you and wants your weakness. When you surrender it to him, you can be strong with his strength, and you will be able to endure the insults that come with defending every human life.
That's Sister Bethany Madonna, the Vocations Director for the religious order Sisters of Life, addressing the faithful gathered in Washington, D.C. this week for the National Catholic Prayer Breakfast. And Sister Bethany Madonna of Sisters of Life joins us now in our D.C. studio. Welcome, Sister. Happy Easter.
Thank you, Catherine. Happy Easter to you.
Thank you so much for being here. First, tell us about Sisters of Life. Tell us about your order and your unique charism.
Yes. So, as a community, God has entrusted us with the charism to protect and enhance the sacredness of human life. So we actually take a fourth vow to do so, but it's a joy to be able to proclaim the goodness of life and the beauty of life, and that every person is made in the image and likeness of God, wanted, chosen, willed, desired, that there's a destiny. This life is not all there is, but it's beautiful and precious. Even when suffering enters in, the Lord is there and has a beautiful plan that He wants to draw forth. So.
And the Sisters of Life is both an active and contemplative religious order. So, Sister, from that perspective, coming from a deep prayer life and having a deep well of prayers, what do you see as the greatest obstacle today in building up a culture of life, and how do we overcome that?
I would say, especially for those who are pro-life and who are engaging in the battle, I would see falling into the temptation of doing over being, and we can really believe and battle for others that their life is precious and sacred, but I might not know that for myself, that I'm loved and that I'm sacred and that the Lord sees me in this way. So I think rather than an acting or going out, I would say it's very much first receiving from the Lord His love, His gaze, the way He sees me in tenderness and mercy and joy. And then once I've received that, I'm able to reflect that back to every person that I meet, knowing that they're somehow communicating something of Him to me, you know?
That is beautiful. And for our viewers who are watching who may not be called to enter into the Sisters of Life, what advice might you have for them to still build up a culture of life in their day-to-day life?
I would say, stay close to Jesus. Really, a sacramental life is how to be pro-life, to receive His mercy, to receive His body and blood and Holy Communion. But beyond prayer and interceding, I think being able to recognize, like, God might have entrusted me with certain gifts, whether it's the gift of presence or the gift of providing in some way, or the gift of using my professional talents at the service of life. We have thousands of coworkers of life who help us to serve the women who come to us pregnant and in crisis. And it's amazing to see their needs come forward and to see those who have asked to be of service to them meet. And God desires to uphold them and provide for them through the generosity of these hearts. Yeah.
Finally, Sister, you are the Vocations Director. So if a viewer is watching and she feels drawn by what you're saying and she feels called to maybe be a Sister of Life, what should she do next?
That voice is heard, in the silence of prayer, that invitation, that call. And when the Lord is inviting, He gives the grace to kind of come out of the boat and onto the water. So I would say being able to reach out, whether by visiting the website, volunteering at a convent, by making a phone call, going online to the web form to set up an appointment, would be the perfect next step.
Sister Bethany Madonna, Vocations Director for the Sisters of Life, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Catherine.
Thank you.
Yeah.
When we come back,
it'll be more than just wiping out abortion. It's going to save people, save their souls for eternity.
More than MyPillow, Mike Lindell shares his role in the Unplanned movie and his pro-life passion with us. Stay tuned as EWTN Pro-Life Weekly continues after this break. Welcome back to EWTN Pro-Life Weekly. I am your host, Catherine Hadro. The 2020 election presidential primary is in full swing, and Democratic candidates seem to be racing to take the most extreme abortion position. That's this week's Speak Out segment. On a recent campaign stop, listen to New Jersey Senator Cory Booker, who dismissed the Born Alive Abortion Survivors Protection Act as a bill that was created to divide people.
This was something that was put forward to try to further create schisms and differences between us. You cannot kill a child after birth in this country. That is against the law.
And at a recent Fox News town hall, Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders gave this answer when asked if he thinks abortion should be allowed up until the moment of birth.
Look, I think that happens very, very rarely, and I think this is being made into a political issue. Okay? So I think it's rare. It's being made into a political issue.
How devastating to hear people seeking the highest office dismiss the most vulnerable among us, the strong hurting the weak. These type of answers we're hearing from Democratic presidential candidates aren't even as extreme as abortion advocates would like. The president of NARAL Pro-Choice America says any questions about abortion up until birth should be rejected. But that rejection would go against the pursuit of truth and would fall outside of the mainstream. New nationwide polling released by the Susan B. Anthony list finds that 77% of voters support legislation that ensures abortion survivors are given the same medical treatment as any other baby born prematurely. The numbers don't lie. Candidates like Cory Booker and Bernie Sanders are choosing to side with the abortion lobby over their own electorate. But with less than 19 months until Election Day, the people will remember in November. And do you remember, there is always something you can do to counter today's culture of death. Follow this week's call to action. Go to ProLifeWeekly.com. Send a message directly to your U.S. representative urging your member of Congress to sign the discharge petition for the Born Alive bill so we can see a vote on the House floor. You probably know Mike Lindell better as the MyPillow guy. But Lindell's story is more than the success of his business. It's a story of addiction, then recovery, and a passion for the pro-life cause. For this week's Pro-Life Focus, I sat down with Mike Lindell in Hollywood at the Unplanned movie premiere. We are here. It is almost at the premiere. You are an executive producer of the film. I know you made a generous contribution, and you have a role in it.
Yeah, it's been epic. It's surreal today.
Wow, that's incredible. And I know that you have been so open about your journey with drug addiction, and here we are. It's been about a decade since then.
Yeah, I just had my 10-year anniversary.
Congratulations, congratulations.
Thank you.
Can you just speak to that and just the preciousness of each and every life and what you've learned about that in your journey?
Yes, I can. I've got 4 kids, I've got grandkids, nieces and nephews, and I never understood the whole concept of abortion, And me, I come from a crack cocaine addiction. I quit everything January 16, 2009. But then it started opening my eyes to different things and even, politics, different politics. I'm going, what's going on? What's wrong with our country? Where are we going, this path we're going down? And then I got a call, for this movie, and we were leaving for Israel, actually, and we got a call and said, yeah, we prayed. These producer guys called me and said, yeah, we prayed about it, and we think, or we said, you're going to be in our movie. I said, well, I haven't prayed about it. And so me and my gal Kendra, we got off the phone and prayed about it. I said, well, what's it about? And I've always been pro-life, and I'm going, I didn't understand, how can you murder, kids? So we called him back, and I said, yes. I said, and I said, so this is a true story. And they go, yeah. That meant a lot to me. It wasn't just trying to get a this is the real deal. Okay, this is fact. Okay, and you have someone that seen it all with their own eyes and what was going on, someone that high up. It would just, the pieces fit perfect. And then I said, what, how much did you spend on this? Because I wanted to make sure if I was going to have a part in it, I wanted to make sure it was a good movie, not just some movie with a great message that wasn't a good movie.
High quality.
It had to be high quality for me. I'm going, and I love the message. They said, no, it's going to be high quality. And I said, well, do you have enough money? Blah, blah, blah. And they go, and I said, they said, well, we could use $1 million. I said, I'll put $1 million in. And that was a real quick decision. Like, well, I find out later that that's what they were short. It was a miracle. They needed it that day or something. So it was, and
that was your decision to get that donation.
Yeah, and it was real fast. It wasn't like, it was out here, I'm going to wire you the money and we'll sign the contracts later. That was God telling me to do it. I knew it was right. It felt right. Everything felt right. Now, did I know where we'd be at today after this was made? And I'm going, wow, you can't, God's timing on this, whereas this is a focal point of what's going on in New York. And now we're not just, they're killing unborn, they're killing born.
What is your hope for this film?
My hope for this film is, yes, to get to, wipe out abortion once and for all, and where you look back someday and you say, wow, can't believe we were this society did that. Like you look back on other things, you're going, how could a society move that? But also, I really believe so many people are going to be saved because of this film. The people that have gotten abortions that watch it, And they're going to go, wow, and they're going to find Jesus through that. I really do. We've got a help thing at the end of the film where they can go out and get, because I think people have lived with that inner guilt and pain and just hit it down there. And when this is going to release that, and they're going to need,
resources.
I think it's a gateway. I think it'll be a gateway to help, to Jesus. I really do. I think it'll be a gateway. It'll be more than just wiping out abortion. It's going to save people, save their souls for eternity. You're not just saving babies, you're saving souls.
You do so much work in the inner city. You do a lot of inner city outreach. Do you think this film is going to reach them? And what message do you hope reaches the inner city in particular?
But I spent a lot of time in the inner city with my crack cocaine addiction, and this is, I read some statistics. It's horrible with the inner city abortions, even worse than the numbers, just staggering compared, when you prorate it. Well, and I think that's where you're going to reach the most. And I really hope that this, that things, I'm working with the addiction and with all these things, and this is just another piece of that puzzle to get people completely healed. And to get that, it's a revival. I think of it as a revival, and it's get people healed. You need to be healed. All these, the wounds, that people have. When I was a crack addict, I didn't go in to get, to get shamed, more shamed. I went in when I got help. You got, why are you addicted in the first place? And what are these, what are these things, these inner wounds? And I just think that this is going to, like I said before, it's going to save so many people that have went through that, where they can be forgiven, forgive themselves, and then know that Jesus forgives them, and release that.
Absolutely.
That's the main thing that needs to be, that this movie is going to, like I said, not just save babies and the physical human, but save souls.
Well, I hope this film reaches everyone who needs to see it. Thank you so much for your work and for your time.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me on.
That does it for this edition of EWTN Pro-Life Weekly. Until next week, I'd love to hear from you. You can email us at prolifeweekly@ewtn.com or look for us all over social media. Just search for EWTN Pro-Life. And remember, life is a gift. Your life is a gift. God bless.